Hello all of you little demons, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, back again with another episode of the awesomely named and awfully hosted Choose Your Own Adventure, the weekly medieval themed format where I, the Crown Jewels of WhatCulture.com, take a list chosen by you, yes you the person who had a power cut just as I was recording the first section of this video and now have to do it all over again. Yay! Yes, you get to decide what list I dole out to you each and every week, and this week we have none other to thank than Vicious Gamer for their suggestion of video game villains that teamed up with you to help beat other bosses. And as we're all aware, video games and boss battles go together about as well as a Northman and a Greg sausage roll.
Hey, I take offense to that.
Oh, no, Dan, I've lived up in the north, I've seen all there is to see, and also, what's that in your hand? Yeah, I thought so. Point proved. To the extent that it's hard to imagine one without the other. Therefore, it's in the medium's best interest to try and shake up the formula from time to time and keep the player on their toes. And for some titles, this takes the shape of villains stepping over to the side of light and justice, albeit sometimes only temporarily, in order to help deliver an almighty beatdown on another evildoer who's run their mouth a little too much. Maybe the foe in question has had a change of heart or just wants to help eliminate the competition before then squaring up to you. Either way, we'll take all the help that we can get, especially if we can control these former villains and utilize all of their forbidden powers. So let's celebrate teamwork really making the dream work as once nightmare foes help you deliver a dirt nap to other enemies. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 8 video game villains that helped you defeat other bosses. And you know the drill by now, say hi to me here in the live chat and put your suggestions for next week's episode down in the comment section below. And with that in mind, let's get on with the list, shall we? Number 8, Vergil's Arkham Assist, Devil May Cry 3. Alongside Noel and Liam Gallagher, the brothers Spada carry with them one of the longest sibling rivalries known to man, with each slinging enough sass and salt at one another to make Steve Harvey sweat through one of his family feud suits. And it seems to the layman that you couldn't find two beings more diametrically opposed to one another, while ironically both sharing the same pig-headedness and love for the ultra-violence. And thanks to their ideals clashing as hard as their swords, both Dante and Vergil will often find themselves squaring off against one another. That being said, even these bickering brothers know when to put the toys back into the pram and then use said baby carriage to clonk evil on their head, because they've had to team up more than once in order to make sure that they can flush whatever evil's rising to the top of the turd toilet bowl. Take, for example, the closing act of Devil May Cry 3, where generic plop head Arkham is busy spouting his world-ending nonsense before Vergil interrupts and offers Dante a hand. Together, the duo prove once and for all how truly unstoppable they would be if they just weren't arguing over Monopoly rules at Christmas, and utterly embarrass Arkham, even ending things with each brother taking ebony and ivory and shooting Arkham in his big swirly hole. Oh, my hole! Sure enough, the truce was short-lasting, but what a power trip this was. Number 7, Chef Saltbaker, Cuphead DLC, The Delicious Last Course. Now, when you consider the amount of trouble that some of the bosses in Cuphead can give even skilled players, there's a good chance that you'll be looking for any help that you can get. Well, fret not, my jug-eared friend, because Chef Saltbaker is here with a magic cookie that will both transcend your mortal understanding of taste and also the bloody astral realm itself, as it allows either Mugman or Cuphead to switch places with Miss Chalice and thus bring her sweet skills to the table. Now, for many players going through the Cuphead DLC, using Chalice is a must to get over some of the more challenging bosses and learn their patterns, as thanks to her double jump and lenient dash options, she'll breeze through sections that you'd otherwise get roasted by. Now at this point you're likely asking yourself, well, this Chef Saltbaker seems like a pretty nice sort. I mean, why is he on this list? Well, I'll tell you, my friend, because this guy has sold us a baker's dozen full of lies, because it turns out that the ingredients that we've been collecting aren't for the magical cookie for our gain, but for his, because he wants to control the entire astral realm. The bloody cad! Still, one has to give this villain some props, as without his magical cookie, besting the other bosses sure is a damn sight more challenging. So, cheers, I guess? I mean, definitely boo to you, but also, thanks? Number 6, Letz Shake, No More Heroes. Now, Now when it comes to boss battles, No More Heroes really has the entire concept down to a fine art. Across its 3 main games and we've got Travis Touchdown at Home spin-off, you'll battle assassins, monsters and superpowered enemies left, right and centre. And thanks to the team approaching each encounter with the mantra of making them feel unique, every single boss battle becomes something to truly look forward to. Plus the act of even getting to these epic encounters is so purposefully arduous that come the end of your, 15th garbage pickup side mission, your blood is definitely going to be fizzy and you'll be aching for a battle just to release the tension. Yes, I know that sounded a little bit weird, but that's kind of the point of the franchise. They're thorough examinations of the player's relationship between violence and extreme gratification. That being said, there is an utter blue balling in the original game like none other, which comes in the form of Letz Shake's Showdown. Here Travis has finally earned enough ducats to duel and faces off against a monstrous machine-like tower, which apparently houses power so potent that it can wipe out all life in a mile-wide radius. As Letz Shake powers up and announces all of its protocols and subsystems, Travis races forward, only for the entire battle to end in an instant when Henry, Travis's half-brother, cuts the tower in 2. After delivering a few barb, Henry then bolts, leaving Travis and the player screaming to the sky about a battle they never got to truly experience. I mean, thanks for the assist, brother, but at the same time, I worked bloody hard to kill something. And I know how horrible that sounds, but that's again the point! Number 5. T-Rex gets chomped, Dino Crisis 2. While the world over is talking with foaming lips about the rabid success of the Resident Evil 4 remake, a lot of fans have now turned to Capcom, eyes wide and with grubby paws raised high in unison, calling for the return of Dino Crisis. A rampant success until things got taken into space, Dino Crisis switched the zombies for lizards and dialed up the action all across the board, yet still knew how to generate the scares by having dinosaurs pop out all over the place and, in the case of the T-Rex, had it stalk you across the entire game, causing havoc along the way. Therefore, it came as quite the surprise when the T-Rex, which at this point had cemented itself as a foe not to be trifled with, was utterly and completely punked by the Gigantosaurus, which emerges in a cutscene to body the T-Rex before then turning its attention to you. At this moment, side by side, we see how utterly terrifying the Gigantosaur is, as it utterly towers over the former apex predator. With the T-Rex dispatched easily, the giant lizard now turns towards us, and what we're gonna say is liquid amber starts dripping down our legs. Seriously, it's like we've traded both up and down in a single instant here, as we're like, hey, thanks for killing that guy. Oh no, you're a bigger guy. Number 4, Turf Wars, Monster Hunter World, and Iceborne. When it comes to sheer spectacle, the Monster Hunter games are really truly hard to beat. Every single time you enter a lair and see a cutscene begin to play out, you might have to drop the controller and start clamping your face in order to stop that emerging smile from giving you the cramps. I'm so scared and terrified, but I love it! As the ground begins to shake and the tree line cracks and twists, you just know that another supremely awesome creature is about to try and make your life an utter misery. And as a shadow as large as at least 2 English sheds, maybe even 3, covers your character in a pool of darkness, that wave of enjoyment only grows. That is until you realise that this big mamma jammer over here, well, they ain't alone. Welcome to Turf Wars, a feature introduced in Monster Hunter World that quite literally changed the flow of the fight forever, as now thanks to overlapping territories, other huge monsters might show up mid-fight or right at the start in order to batter their rivals and deep fry you in the process. As the colossal beasts writhe and bite each other, you might be tempted to just sit back and watch, but much like when your little brother yells "uh-oh" from the other room, that problem is about to become yours really, really soon. For the record, he thought that painting the sofa with yogurt was a good idea. Yet if you play the situation right, you can make sure that your fight with 2 huge monsters is at least a battle with one of them being at considerably lower health. So give them some space, chip in with words of advice in the form of a giant hammer to the nipple when you can, and just pray that you don't get steamrolled by both in the process. Number 3, Mad Dog, Dynamite Heady. Oh, Dynamite Heady, you are such a weird game. For those not in the know, Dynamite Heady is an oft-forgotten platformer of yesteryear that goes out of its way at every possible opportunity to go absolutely nuts. For a start, you defeat your enemies by throwing your own head at them, and for seconds, well, I mean, just look at the footage for this game. It's like somebody decided that the art style was just sugar, all of it, and that the enemies would be designed by playing Mad Libs with a 5-year-old. Honestly, the boss roster for this game seems like it was made out of images from the "we'll put that on the fridge" folder and also the "definitely a potential future murderer" folder. As giant mechanical lizards, huge-faced babies, and demonic totem poles will routinely try to ruin your day, but none do this more so than Trouble Bruin, a cat with a personal beef so large that he'd throw the bloody cow at you for a chance to kill Hetty. Also, side note, Trouble Bruin? That is a good name. Rocking up again and again throughout the game, this curmudgeonly cat will hop inside vehicles and weird weapons in order to blow up our dear old dynamite. And his resilience may even cause some players to lament that he just won't bloody take the hint and die. Thankfully though, in one encounter, another boss will emerge out of the sky to crush Bruin before doing battle with you themselves. And I'll tell you this for none, watching Mad Dog drop from the sky and crush Trouble Bruin was actually a bit of a sweet relief, because I mean, look at what Trouble Bruin was turning into before he did that. Look at all those knives, look at all those appendages. I'm having none of that, son. And also the boss battle with Mad Dog was deliriously easy, so thank you for that as well. Number 2, DJ Octavio, Splatoon 3. Now, whether you're a kid or indeed a squid now, there is one thing that will always stick at the back of your mind, and that is the ever-looming threat of the one and only Dr. Octavio. Now, while Octavio might find himself in the same orbit as Dr. Neo Cortex as a kind of pseudo-threatening villain who bumbles their way through evil, make no mistake, he is a villain through and through, as his attempts to steal the Zapfish and all of the above world's electricity definitely prove. However, the tables not only get turned but utter spin-cycled when a new villain enters the fray in Splatoon 3 by the name of Mr. Grizz. This furry felon causes all manner of chaos as well as gumming up the waterworks with wads of gross matted hair. And things soon look pretty bleak for everyone involved. Thus, it comes down to an alliance of enemies between the player and DJ Octavio, who smashes up the "Now That's What I Call Villain Music Volume 13 and instead lends a hand with the greatest hits right onto Mr. Grizz's head. Now, it's a shaky alliance to say the least, but we're definitely glad to have Octavio on our side for a change. And number 1, Atlas, BioShock 1. Now let's face it, when I use the term helping hand in the same sentence as Frank Fontaine, you know that it's got to be taken with a truckload of salt, because this guy really doesn't really understand the idea of friendship and working together, because he effectively mind controls you into doing his bidding. In short, Mr. Fontaine over here betrays the ever-loving heck out of you and does so by hijacking Jack's brain through the use of his trigger phrase, "Would you kindly?" When these words are uttered, Jack, and by extension the player, have no choice but to follow his orders to the letter, which will take you towards the other larger-than-life persona of Rapture, Andrew Ryan. By following Frank's orders, you destabilize much of this underwater hellscape and capture the attention of Ryan, who eventually relents to a rather disastrous peer review. However, here lies the double twist, as it's Ryan himself that demands his own execution, meaning that a villain helped you try and beat another villain, only for the second villain to then beat themselves. My brain. And technically, I guess while we're at it, for her experimentation and originally cruel persona, Bridget Tenenbaum is another villain that offers assistance to you, eventually removing the control phrase and giving you the ability to take down Atlas once and for all. I tell you what, it's a backstabber's ball over here. Everyone's betraying each other. And there we go, my friends. Those were 8 video game villains that helped you defeat other bosses. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below, as well as your suggestions for next week's episode. I love reading all of your comments. It is a lovely community we've fostered, so thank you very much, my friend. Or, as Atlas would say, thank you kindly. I mean, he wouldn't say that, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But if you want to chat to me in the meantime, you can go over to the social medias over on Twitter and Instagram, where I'm at RetroJade, with the O is a 0, and you can follow Dan over here as well. But before I go, my friends, I just want to say one thing. We spoke a lot at length about video game villains, but you know who is an absolute hero of the bunch? You. Yes, you watching this video. You deserve all the best things in life, my friends. And why is that? Because you are a massive ledge, and do not let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise, all right? I want you to go out there and smash your life goals, because I believe in you, and you need to believe in yourself as well, all right? Big love. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.